Tyler, now that you've got me drunk on this Beast Unleashed and I just don't care anymore, I would like to ask you about the time you announced you were leaving RCR to the time you actually went to 2311. What was that like, and what would you wish you'd have done differently, if there's anything?
Honestly, for me, I think when you look at it, Denny and myself included, we all wanted to get it out there. We wanted it to be our news, and you just know how everything works in media and in the world that we live in today. It's really hard to keep things under wraps. Someone's going to find out. Someone's going to, take away your opportunity to announce what your future is. So for us, that's just the way we wanted to do it. And obviously, the things that happen after the fact, they are what they are. But I'm at 2311 now. I'm working with Toyota now, and the end goal in all this, when I didn't know it was going to be this following year now, but the end goal down the road was I want to be with this team and with Toyota, and we want to start building on the foundation of what we want to grow and build into together. Denny wants that team to grow into championship caliber, and he wanted me to be a part of it, and I wanted to be a part of that too with him and Michael and Curtis. And so it sped it up a little bit. So honestly, I hate that I kind of didn't get to finish that last year with the team and those guys, but it worked out perfectly for them. They got one of the best drivers out there in Kyle Busch. So I was worried about that hole that might be there for them, but they got a really good driver and they've already won. So I think it all really worked out.
I think it did too. Keep in mind, Dale also, at this table, we all have experienced the announcement of leaving a team and then having to finish out a year with them. Listen, there's no way to say it. It's awkward. Is it not? I mean, Dale announced he was leaving DEI, announced he was going to go to Hendrick Motorsports, still had a whole year to finish out with DEI. There's nothing that makes that easy. You got your team, all that stuff. I would imagine it wasn't easy for you. There's just no easy way to do that. Is that fair to say?
There was hard moments, definitely, when I sat down and told them, hey, this is what's going to happen. That was a hard conversation to have with them. They were heartbroken about it. I hated to be the one telling them that, but I needed to be the one telling them that.
There's nobody else to do that.
Yeah. And, I think it could have, I guess in a sense, the playoffs didn't really go the way we wanted it to. Was that because of the announcement? I don't think so. It was just a product of kind of what had plagued us all year long, and it was tire failures. I think just because of who I am and how hard I worked with that team, they knew they obviously knew in the future I wasn't going to be there, but they not for 1 second questioned my effort and how much I was going to put towards it. And we just continued to work hard. We went back out and won in Indy. Playoffs were tough for us. And after getting eliminated, we still weren't in any mindset of, okay, we're going to give up and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. We just kept working at it, and we got win Texas. And we had speed at a number of other tracks too. That's just who we are. It definitely raised tensions in other areas in the company, but our team, our group, we had each other's backs, and we were going to see it through to the end, whenever the end ended up being.
Where do you think things are with you and Richard? Are you guys on a good?
I think so.
Yeah.
It was. I don't think, definitely from my side, and as far as I understand from our conversations on his side, is nothing personal. It just all came down to business, and once it's business, we'll see it through to the end of that. And then, every time we've ran into each other this year in the garage, he's been really, really great to me, and I've reciprocated that too. So I think obviously, it put, they were in a weird spot, right? Like they didn't know what their direction and future was going to be for a little bit, but then they started to figure out their options. And then once Kyle and that whole deal worked out for them, I feel like they, things worked out really well for RCR and them. I definitely didn't want to put them in a spot where they were going to have to almost reset and try and figure out what they were going to do.
Yeah.
It worked out really good in them getting Kyle.
If there was friction or if there was tension, what did the Indy win do for that, if anything? I know that from our standpoint, just watching it, it would have seemed, I don't know if it's a narrative that we just wanted to believe was true, but an Indy win would do some positive, I don't know, healing or repairing or anything, if there is any of that to be healed and repaired. Is that true? Did Indy do that? Or is that just something that we just wish kind of happened?
I think more than anything, it was like, hey, we, all this is out there, but it doesn't change anything about this year. Like, I'm still 100% locked in on this team. The team's still 100% locked in on me. We're going to go out there and we're going to try and, get all the way to Phoenix and get a championship. And Richard even said that too. He's like, hey, we're going to go out here and we're going to give everything we have, and we're going to try and go win this championship. Obviously, it didn't work out like that. But I mean, I think the speed that we had, we just needed to have a few things go the other way, and we could have definitely went farther than we did. But that's racing.
So what kind of owner is Denny?
He's very plugged in, and having a current driver as an owner is a really cool thing. I've gotten to experience that in other areas, in the past, but having a driver that you're competing against also be your team owner, I didn't know if there was going to be disadvantages to it, and I haven't really seen one yet. Honestly, I don't. Having him be plugged in, with Gibbs as he is, and then be paying attention and pushing on the team on certain areas that we need to get better. It's all been really good. And then too, just I have Bubba as a teammate. I've got all the Gibbs drivers as teammates anyways, but then I got Denny as well, and as a teammate owner, like he wears a lot of different hats. I don't know how he keeps up with it all, honestly.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But yeah, it's been great.
Doesn't seem like he sleeps or has time to sleep. Have you got to meet Michael?
Yes.
And what was that like?
That was really it was a crazy moment in my life. I've gotten to meet a lot of cool people throughout my life. The first big one, honestly, was when I got to meet you at the National Guard Youth Foundation deal in D.C.
Yeah.
I about crapped myself. I thought I was a
What were
nervous
you doing
wreck.
there? Well,
I honestly, we were trying to work with. There was some people we were working with that was involved with it in the time, and just you were involved with them too. So it worked out. I was there, you were there. So I'm like, the people I was with, like, all right, let's go introduce you to Dale. And I was like, okay. And so that was a really big moment for me. Meeting Michael was another huge one. But yeah, we got right down into it. Got to talk about just anything imaginable, right? Racing, non-racing related stuff. I knew he's involved and I knew he pays attention, but it really surprised me how locked in and involved he really is and how much he pays attention. Even before Daytona, he was busting me pretty good about, your speedway finishes haven't been too good. I'm not expecting, I'm not expecting a lot on Sunday.
That's hilarious.
That got me fired up.
Yeah.
And so up until I got collected with Harvick, I'd run the cleanest race of my life on a speedway, like coming into pit road like 8th or 9th, coming out 1st to 3rd. Like I was extra motivated. So it's been fun.
He knows how to motivate you. That's
yes,
good.
Yes. And again, it's been really surprising how much when, like last year, things like when I got a little banged up at Martinsville and just a number of other things were going on, just always checking on me. Hey, you all right? How are things going? Just he checks in all the time too.
Yeah.
And that's been really cool to see.
What was that experience like? Going through that injury or getting kind of banged around at Martinsville? What was going on? What were you thinking?
It was odd. I'm just very fortunate that whatever I was feeling at the time just was gone really, really quickly. By I'd say Monday morning, I was feeling good, and obviously I needed to go through all the steps and make sure there was nothing going on and that I was okay to return to racing, and thankfully I was. But it was a weird moment for sure. You never expect a restart just stack up to do that, but in the moment it was a very odd situation, and I knew it wasn't 100% in that time, and that I needed to get out of the car. And when I did, I realized something was a little off, but thankfully the more that we dove into it, it ended up not being serious, and I was able to go back to racing.
That's honorable for you to be in the situation you're in, right in the middle of the mix, and got all these things to look forward to say, hey man, this, I got a thing. I need to take care of this. I think that sets such a great example, and it seems that drivers are becoming more and more comfortable with saying, hey, I need a minute here, and